What you're about to watch is the Nerdiest After Show, which was our Patreon exclusive show that we did a few years back. And while we don't have Patreon anymore, we felt like the content was still really solid and wanted to share it with you for free on YouTube. So grab your popcorn. We hope you enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest After Show, the show after the show, where we talk about movies. What movies? Well, movies that me and Jackson get to pick alternatingly. And this episode is my pick of Pompo the Cinephile, so that's what he watched, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you stick around to the end, you'll find out what movie we're watching next. So, hello, all of the after show listeners. I definitely remembered to press the button this time that made it subscriber only. That was my bad. But I've already apologized for that multiple times. So, Pompo the Cinephile is an anime movie that was really good, at least in my opinion. So we're just gonna. I'm just gonna jump straight into it. Jackson, tell us, how'd you feel about Pompo?
Let's
the Cinephile?
All right, we're not even gonna. Wow. Okay, we're so fast. Just go right.
Just jump right into it. Why waste time?
I'm gonna waste a little bit of time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the Nerdiest After Show. You are what keeps the lights on, and we thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here on the After Show. Now, Pompo the Cinephile. Wow. First red flag, I had to rent this movie on Amazon.
Maybe if you lived nearby, I could have let you borrow the DVD.
Listen, do you know that is like 1.5 months of the Nerdiest After Show I could have subscribed to with the $4 that I had to rent this movie with? Okay, you know what? So, Pompo the Cinephile is it's a movie for filmmakers. It is a filmmaker's movie. It is, the whole point is let's make a movie. And what I didn't expect was it was less about let's make a movie and it was more about let's edit a movie. Now, I am an editor. I freaking love editing. This is my number one, like, if I could edit at a desk for 10 hours a day, I would be so thrilled. That would be my life and I'd be so happy. I would love that. Right? Okay. Pompo the Cinephile. I wanted to like it so much more than I did. Now, that is the most disappointing look I've ever seen on your face. Tell me what you feel about this movie.
I feel so vindicated as a creator.
Right.
Like, there's just so much about it, and I'm working on a video for Nick with No K. I did the thumbnail last night, and it's so cool.
That was a good thumbnail, I'll say.
But the parts that resonated with me the most was Pompo's little like spiel about why she chose Gene, because he doesn't have that sparkle in his eyes. Because those who are outcasted from society and the world end up building and creating their own world, and that's exactly how I was. I was always the kid who was picked on in school for being into what I was into, but I just kind of kept my head down and kept doing what I was doing and created all of these different worlds in my head and like have this artistic eye of seeing, oh, that looks really cool. How can I like twist this in? I also think visually it's a stunning movie that makes such good use and utilizes to the fullest extent every frame. Like, there's one shot where you have, like, Gene sitting in the theater watching a conversation with him and Pompo, and then it switches perspective, and the window that would be behind them is the screen, and you still see him sitting there. And it's, like, stuff like that where they're fully utilizing every aspect of the creative process. And there's so many, like, there was another one where, like, windshield wipers went off, and that was the transition to the next scene. That was a transition,
yeah.
And, like, it's just such a creative movie that I will never not love. And I didn't expect to love it as much as I did when I watched it. Buying the Blu-ray for this one was kind of a shot in the dark because I'd never seen it when I bought it. And I was like, it looks good. If I don't like it, I'll go to McKay's. But just the fact that it was able to wow me like that and actually make me like Film Bros to a certain extent. But even then, Pompo doesn't like Film Bros because she's like, you guys overcomplicate this. It's not that deep.
Right.
So that's me. I want to know what happened.
So here's what happened. Here's what I think. I agree with all that. I think it's a very philosophical movie. I think there's a lot of creative philosophy that I like to, that's my jam. You know how I like to talk about creative philosophy. Like, that's what I love. And I think that there was a lot of really good, there was some very good visuals. Like you said, cinematography was incredible. And I think it would have been really bad if this movie about editing was poorly edited. That would have been bad. So essentially they put their money where their mouth is. And they were like, this is about making movies. We're going to make it a good movie. It's edited very well. Cinematography was very great. I love the colors. I love the characters. Here's the problem for me. While I love all of the creative side of it, because we're creatives. Like, we want to watch movies about creatives. I feel like it was a very realistic look at that world and what that was like, and the process, and his mind, like where his brain was. Like, I related to Gene in that way, of he's like, I just need to cut the whole like start over. We're not doing this. But among that, within all of those good things, was so many cliches, and the lack of a deeper story kept me from putting it higher. So, like, my Letterboxd review isn't like out yet, because we don't like put our reviews out until after we record the shows. I'm gonna say it's probably a solid like 3-star for me. Like, not bad. I mean, 2.5 to 3 is where I'm at. Is like, it's not bad, but there is not much more to it but some cool creative stuff, you know? Like, I felt like there was so much more opportunity to go so much deeper into their characters, but it was very much like a happy-go-lucky, we're going to go make a fun movie and he's going to edit it, this and that. And my main problem, and this is kind of how I felt in the last like 30 minutes, was I didn't feel like there was a lot of stakes. And there was this whole like, oh, how is this going to get out in time? And she's like, how, like, he's like, I need to shoot an additional scene. And she's like, do you understand how hard that is? Like, this is terrible. Like, this is so much work, this and that. And he essentially says, please. And then she does it. And it's kind of like, oh, like that. It's like, oh, there's an obstacle. Oh, they just overcome it. And it was like, oh, there's like, this is scary. Oh, they overcome it. And so what I think was, while there is some very, very good, like, creative aspects, and I think it's a very creative movie, and there's a lot in there that I really love, and a lot of relatable stuff, and a lot of like, it's a very niche like sense of humor that I thought was, that like I related to and I thought was funny. But there was not a whole lot more to it than that. Like, everyone was just kind of like, I didn't have friends, and so I just watched movies, and that's how I related to the world. And I'm like, okay, cool. What about this character? Well, they didn't have friends, so they watched movies, and that's okay. What about that one? Well, they didn't have friends, so they watched movies, and that's how they related to the world. And I was like, oh, okay. So there wasn't a lot of emotional depth there for me. Like, I was very, very much like, oh, okay, like nothing about your family, like nothing about this and that, and even like, and like the actor girl, like, she was like, there was nothing to do in my hometown. She's like, we hit a very boring opportunist town with, like, you know, if I wanted to be a big actor, I had to move to the big city, which is like, yeah, that's super fair. But it ended there. Like, it was like, well, she was just a small town girl living in a lonely world. And so she went to the big city, but she made it. And it was kind of like, that's it? Like, that's it? And so here's my consensus, and then I'll get your take on this. It is a very good movie, but I like it in the same way that I like a movie like Lemonade Mouth. Like, it's a very fun watch, but I don't know if I'm going to be like, this is an amazing film. Like, it's a fun watch, and it's a very calm and like interesting watch that I will like enjoy. but I think like the lack of story is keeping it from getting a higher rating from me.
Okay.
And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Now that you've kind of explained the lemonade mouth thing, that makes sense. Like, it's not the deepest movie in the world, but you're not going into it expecting it to be the deepest thing in the world. You kind of are more going for the visual aspect of it. And I can understand that to
more
a
of a
certain
vibe.
extent. I get it. I mean, I don't agree.
Right.
But at the same time, I also understand what you're talking about with not having the emotional depth, because the movie does kind of sacrifice character for these bigger moments of like, oh, we're going to put our whole into the editing and like the acting process. And I don't know. I think Gene as a character was fine. And yeah, there could have been more there. And I know there's a manga adaptation, so maybe it's in there and it just didn't make it in the movie. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the movie ends when he says, oh, this movie is exactly 90 minutes long.
Exactly 90 minutes.
Cuts to credits. So it's like 94 because of credits, but the movie itself ends
90
at the 90-minute mark. And I think that's a really great
really
thing.
Cheeky and like,
really interesting thing that they like left in there. But I do think if there's additional stuff in the manga that could have, like, character stuff that could have been brought over, I don't know if it was worth sacrificing that for having that 90-minute cutoff. And I might be wrong. I might be completely off base there.
Right.
But if that's what happened, I don't know if that was the best choice.
Right. Like, I feel like there was so much opportunity. Like, this was really... Because they started to get really deep into some of the stuff, and they were like, he's like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I don't get the film. I don't get it. I don't like, I have to like keep starting over and I'm not feeling it. And so he's like, I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. Like, tell me about that. And the guy was like, you have to find yourself in it and you have to find a relating factor, which I loved. I loved that part because he was like, oh, this movie's about me. And then they did a lot of like really cool match cut stuff where it was like he was the main character of the movie and it like the story was his. And that was kind of like, oh, Pompo like saw that and she like gave him that script. And then it was like, okay, so tell me why you feel that way. And he's like, well, because I've sacrificed everything to get here. Okay, what did you sacrifice? Well, my family. Okay, tell me about your family. I know nothing about your family. Well, I sacrificed conversations. Okay, the only conversation you've had was with that investment banker guy that you didn't even like in high school. And it was like, oh, I sacrificed this. And I'm like, it was a very like, what is it? Like, Schrodinger's gun? What is the gun? Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun.
I was thinking of Schroeder's cat. It was a very
Schrodinger's cat
situation.
and there's Chekhov's gun.
Right. The Chekhov's gun was a problem for me in this movie because it was very much like they're like saying all these things that I'm not seeing. I'm not connecting the dots for these things. And it that took away from the enjoyment for me. And so it was stuff like that where I was like really on board and then they didn't go any further. And so I think it could have really benefited from another just 30 minutes. Like, it could have been like a 10 out of 10 for me if it just had like 30 more minutes to flush out what it was saying. And it, not that every story needs a villain, because it doesn't, but this movie, they kept like pretending there was a villain when there wasn't. Like, everyone was super nice and supportive of each other, which is like refreshing in a way, but it was also very much like it gave me that Disney Channel movie feel at times where in the biggest like, I guess the biggest victim of this was just the investment bankers when he's like, guys, listen, I've been secretly live streaming this meeting. And I'm like, wait, hold on. You've been, why were you live streaming this meeting? And then he was like, oh, what are we as investment bankers if we can't invest in people's dreams? And I was just like, huh?
Yeah, I don't
like,
know. I didn't really care for that part.
That didn't connect with the rest of the movie. Like that would like cross the line into cheesy. And I was like, this was a very like great, just like chill love letter to filmmakers. And then it turned into a really corny thing when they went in that direction. And I was just like, okay, you've kind of lost me here. So
I'm looking at the manga, right?
Right.
It's not an adaptation of the movie. The manga definitely came first because there's 3 volumes, and the first volume is the movie.
Oh,
the 2 volumes are what come
more
after.
Okay.
So like volume 2 is, Gene is basking in the glow of his wildly successful debut. In fact, he's already got another offer on the table, and they want him to do another movie. But this is like a much bigger movie, so does he really fit in there? When it comes to film, Gene can't accept anything but the best, and his passion and lofty ideals are about to send both him and his boss and mentor hurling off in a very unexpected direction. So it sounds like all of the character you want is in these next 2 volumes. Because the third one is like, Gene gets to direct another movie, and Pompo's going to school because she's a kid. So
that's so funny. I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh yeah, I guess she would be going to school.
It sounds like all of that depth you want
is there,
but it's not in what they chose to adapt as the movie. It's in everything else.
Which is
so
so
I might pick
frustrating.
those up and just see what happens.
Right. Because this was the best way I can describe how I felt was just a little disappointed. Because I was like, because I love film movies. Like, The Fall Guy is my favorite movie of the year so far. And just being like, this is a film movie for film people, about film people, like this. And I was like, yes, this is it. And it was just kind of like, still felt like really, really surface level of that concept. That being said, I really, really loved him. Like the visualization of him editing was really cool. Really cool. Him just like with the swords, and he's like slicing the film strips, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this. And like, you know, I related to a lot of that, and I thought that was a really great visualization. And I really liked that, and especially like as an editor and like all that stuff. I loved the actors were very much like, you know, that guy that was like the best actor in the world, like he's phenomenal, but he was super insecure. Like at the end of the day, like he really just wanted friends. And I was like, that's really real and that's sweet. And like, I appreciate that. But we didn't go any deeper than that. And like, there was a big like tell, don't show moment for me. And I was just like, okay, why? Like, tell me about that. Like, give me his philosophy of being at the top and how it's like actually kind of lonely. And he's like, maybe Gene is like, wow, like this isn't what I thought it was going to be, but I'm like learning how to make it my own and make it better. And they could do like a whole like found family kind of thing of like, hey, this is really hard, but we're going to stick through this together. Not to say this needed to be a super gritty, like intense look at the film industry and how it corrupts people and this and that.
Now that's Oshinoko.
Right. I didn't need that from it. I really just needed to know more about characters, because if you asked me about Gene, I'd be like, yeah, he's the editor. He's like, you know, rose to the top from the bottom. He was like the director's assistant, whatever. And they were like, yeah, totally, you can be the director. And he was like, what? Huh? But I also felt like Gene, like his only crime was working too hard. And I was kind of like, come on, Gene, give me some flaws. Like, you're a little too good at this for being like the new guy. Like, he was just kind of like, yeah, this is my opinion. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. And then they were like, no, you're right.
You're the boss.
Like,
What
I needed some flaws. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Does this make sense?
No, I understand what you're saying. As I look back on it, Gene really doesn't, like, I don't think there's any point in this movie where they do get truly snagged.
No.
Like, there is a lack of conflict. There's almost a lack of tension because, like you said earlier, everything they try to do gets done.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And maybe that's just how it is on the film set, but, like, I think it would have been interesting if she said no.
No, you
to
can't
the reshoot,
like,
and is like, no, we can't do that.
Because at first they were like, hey, I thought they were about to make her the villain, and I was like, oh, Pompo character flip, like this is gonna be really interesting. Like that's not what I expected. And then she was like, okay, I'll see what I can do, and I was like, what? Like let me see like evil.
The biggest point of contention they had was all of the sponsors pulling out because they couldn't get an edit done in time.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, maybe
movies
not
go
all
through this
the
kind
sponsor.
of like, yeah, some might, but most are big enough to know now, like, a movie going through reshoots isn't inherently a bad thing.
No.
So it's still redeemable in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know on that one, but then even then, like that point of contention was fixed because the bank, like, stepped in and they did the crowdfunding and it was fine.
Right.
Like,
well, here's the other thing: did they need the bank?
They were also
because
like, "Hey, Alan, pack up your desk. You're fired."
Right.
Like, what if that
like,
didn't? Like, I thought it. I vividly remember this movie ending very differently, and it was Alan got fired for this stunt he pulled, but then started his own, like, financial investment thing with how successful the crowdfunding was, and, like, taking his philosophy to heart. And then I didn't realize he didn't get to lose his job, and he just, like, started working at Bank of America more.
Right. And it was like, oh, there was very little consequences. Like, I didn't feel the consequences. I didn't feel the weight of the situation.
No. If it isn't the consequences of my own
actions. So, I don't know. I'm kind of it's so hard for me because I also didn't know how to feel about his whole, like, she was like, what's your favorite part of the movie? It's exactly 90 minutes. And I was like, not really sure what to make of that.
Well,
like, I was like...
That one's a little less on the nose because there was the whole, like, when you're making the movie, think about who you want to show it to and pick, like, one person and make it for that person. So at the very least, you'll have one person who likes it.
Right.
And that will give you direction and purpose, because if you do try to incorporate everyone's ideas, that was another thing I don't think was touched upon. Was he never told anyone no.
Right.
Because that other director was like, hey, let me give you advice. You have to focus on what you want to do.
Right.
And that'll give you direction. And if you try to please everyone, then it's not going to work. But then he did really please everyone. Because the actor was like, I want to fall off the roof. And the girl was like, well, I want to throw mud in his face. Or he can throw mud in my face. And he let them do all of it. And he kind of like let himself get walked over. And the big actor guy was like, hey, guys, be sure to throw Gene your suggestions. And I'm like, whoa. That's not what I signed up for.
Right.
That's not how it works. So I think that aspect of it was lost.
Yeah.
He could have just told someone no. But I also understand the people pleasy side of, like, you're new and you don't want to offend people. So you do just tell them yes. And
right. Like, and that is true, and that's a good thing to touch on. And I really liked when he was like, when that director guy was like, just for one person, just make it for one person. And I think the point was to be like, he was making it for Pompo because she, if I'm understanding correctly, and you can just tell me if I interpreted this so wrong. He was in the theater. He grew up going to the theater. and it was just him, but this one other girl was there.
Yeah.
But she always left right when the credits started. And he always thought it was so weird that she did that because there not a movie that captivated her enough to not stay. Was that Pompo?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought there was a huge age gap between them.
Let me do a Google search real quick.
I thought he was like older. Because isn't she like just the dude's granddaughter? Because that would make no sense. That's why I was like, oh, well, if he grew up doing this, like Pompo wouldn't have like been old enough to go see a movie.
So her true age is left ambiguous until volume 3, where it confirms she's the age of a regular middle school girl, putting her somewhere between 12 and 14.
Okay. What about Jean, though?
I don't know. Let me look.
I'm trying to see if that makes sense for them to be in the same theater growing up.
No.
I don't think that dot didn't connect for me.
Okay.
And that was the whole thing of like she stayed till the end of his movie. And she was like,
it moved her.
Because it moved her. But I also was like, but she wrote it. So I don't know. I didn't know how to feel about that because I was like, and then she was like, I can't make this movie because I need to experience it. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But also, you still wrote it. Like, you kind of made it. So I feel like if they like gave Jean the screenplay, then it would have been a much, like what they didn't touch on at all was the writing process. And I was like, this is where your 30 minutes could have gone, was like just taking this story and like expanding and being like, there's so much more to talk about here. Let's do that. So I don't know. That dot didn't connect for me. I was like, she's not old enough for that.
Yeah, I can't find anything on his age.
But he's like older than her though, right? Because she's like a middle schooler.
Yeah. So he has to be.
Right.
He has to be like our age.
So like if he's like 22 and she's 12 and he grew up,
I think it was more like
theater.
As he got older. I don't know. I
that
I can't defend
like,
that one. I don't have an answer for you.
So it's little things like that make me just kind of be like, I don't know what to think. It's kind of like thin story but great vibes. Like,
Right.
That's kind of where it's at. If I'm rating off of vibes, it gets a great score, Super fun, like tribute to filmmaking, but I don't think it really went further than that. When there was much more opportunity to be like, hey, let's talk about that. But I love me some creative philosophy. And there were some good ones in there. So I was like, okay. I see the vision. I see the vision. But it was just, the lack of everything else made it really hard for me. And that's where I'm at.
That's fair. I can understand that. I don't know. I give it 4.5 stars because I don't know. The vibes just took me away. I love it.
See, I would be very like hypocritical if I said this movie sucks, this is garbage, whatever, because I've always been a proponent of like, well, not every movie is trying to be a masterpiece, Like it can just be, they may have just made it for vibes.
Right.
But it's kind of like, the vibes were great, but if you added so much more story, I could have considered it a little bit more, could have considered it better.
Right.
I don't know. Do you feel like this conversation has changed your thoughts, or are you still sticking to that 4.5 star?
Oh, I'm still sticking to that 4.5. I think you've brought up a lot of great points.
Right.
But not like, I'm not going to sway my opinion. I still like it, but I can acknowledge the faults there.
Letterboxd score is 3.6. That's the average.
Wow, really?
And then 3.6, and then IMDb is a 7 out of 10. So IMDb scored a lot higher than IMDb. Let's look
what
at
is Rotten Tomatoes, the real voice of the film bros?
Everyone knows.
They ought to love this movie.
Everyone knows this is a Rotten Tomatoes movie. By the way, new merch, Rotten Tomatoes score, audience score, Nerdiest Podcast t-shirt, nerdspodcast.com. Go there. Wow. Tell me what you think.
I think it's a certified fresh.
No, but close.
It's not?
No, the tomato score.
The tomato score is not certified fresh?
No.
Oh. Is it in the 80s?
Higher.
It's in the 90s and it's not a certified fresh?
Yeah. It's 92 for the critics.
What does the audience say?
Audience is 97. So it's like...
Dang. Rare Rotten Tomatoes W? What?
It was very highly reviewed.
What? Dude, rare Rotten Tomatoes being on it.
That's something.
I'll take that any day of the week.
Rotten Tomatoes telling me to turn off my ad blocker. I swear. What is with film sites and their just desire to make me never
money
want
somehow,
to go back?
Because there's clearly no money in film anymore.
Oh. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm like, this is a good vibe. I don't think I'm gonna watch it again though.
Ooh.
Which is hard.
That's how I was with
But
Nope.
I think there are better movies for me to watch.
Please don't give me a vibes movie. I will hurt. No. I can't.
He said, "I can't do a vibe movie.
I can't do 2 vibe movies back to back."
Listen. So, I've chosen. Do you have anything else to say before I move on to our next pick?
I'm leaving my review at 4.5.
Okay. I'm leaving my review at 2.5.
Okay.
I really am. If I think about the scale of like exemplary, ideal, like it gets like an okay score on both, and it's just kind of like the ideal is higher for me because it's all the stuff I love, but that's not enough to carry a good movie. So
that's fair.
That's where I'm at. Okay, guys. I bet you're wondering what we're going to be watching.
Picking time.
Next month. My turn to pick. You know, how do I swing this one? Because just to recap a little bit, we started off strong. I chose Tropic Thunder for our first movie pick. Out of the park. Great decision, right? So after that, Nick gave me none other than The Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir movie. Still can't let the homies know I kind of mess with it. So, so there you go. We had that. And then I was like, okay, let's watch Nope, the Jordan Peele film, right?
I got to let the homies know I did not mess with that.
And then we were like, okay, cool film, whatever, Pompo the Cinephile. Gonna let the homies know. It was fine. Now, I don't consider this a vibe movie that I'm about to pick, but it has become one of my favorites over the last 2-ish years. And it's on Disney Plus.
Oh, no.
I'll give you my login.
No.
I'll give you my login.
I feel like I know exactly what movie you're about to pick.
Also, fun fact, I don't know who all has my Disney Plus login or my family's Disney Plus login, but my mom got on there the other day, and we were all in the same room, and there's a new profile on there named Zachary, and I have no idea who Zachary is.
Not me.
You know, he is a profile on our Disney Plus now. So
I'll just jump on Zachary's and completely jank up his algorithm.
So this is a Disney Plus 2007.
Oh, I know what you're picking.
Steve Carell classic.
I knew it.
None other than Dan in Real Life.
As soon as you said Disney Plus, I was like, yep. I can't be too mad. I've been kind of wanting to watch that one for a while anyway. At least after the first time you watched it and you were like, it's really good, you should watch it. I'm like, okay.
When I watched this when I had the flu. I had flu B like 2 years ago. And this was when me and Amy first started dating, and it's like one of her favorite movies. And I was like, I'm going to watch it. Like, you love it so much, I'm going to watch it. And I decided that if I was ever to make a feature-length film, I would want it to be like Dan in the Real Life. I say Dan in the real, it's just Dan in real life. And because it's very human. It's a very human movie that is super simple. It doesn't go huge with its set pieces. There's not huge VFX. The music is great. Acting is great. Can't wait. It's like 99% appropriate. There's like one scene that's a little bit like, okay, buddy. Like, ugh. So that's your assignment. And that's your assignment, listeners. Dan in Real Life. It's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. I think it's a phenomenal movie. And I cannot wait to hear our thoughts on it the next time we watch it. So, any other thoughts to add before we close out here on the after show today?
No, I think I'm good. I'm going to go get me some
guys,
Whataburger.
Let's go. I'm going to Amy's house for dinner, and she asked if I had dinner preferences, and I said no, because I don't. So let's see what we eat.
So you could get anything, really.
So it could be anything, really. But I am very hungry, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest After Show. We really appreciate your patronage, just helping out the show. It's an independent production. I'm sure you know this already because we said it on the main show, and it's going to be on Instagram and everything. But we do have new merch designs in the store right now, and it is the Walt Disney Public Domain Steamboat Willie shirt and sweatshirt is available now, and our Rotten Tomatoes score shirts and hats are in there as well, and we're so happy with the design. We're really excited to finally get it out. It took way too long to get it out there, but we're really happy about it and really excited, and we cannot wait to do more like that. So feel free to buy that with the link in the description on the nerdiestpodcast.com. But we just want to thank you so much for supporting the show. If you have any suggestions for what you want from the after show, what you want us to watch, anything, feel free to leave a comment, DM, email, whatever you need. We're super open. Thank you so much for supporting. We will see you in the next one. Until then, bye.